All right, here we are with Clayton Pye, who recently won the Olympic trials here in Niagara Falls. He's a varsity wrestler for the Brock Wrestling Club. 86 kilogram, stockier build, individual. Clayton, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm super excited here. You just recently, this past weekend, you were successful in winning the Olympic trials. You had people competing all across the nation here, came to Niagara region, and it was quite an event. You guys had quite a show out and a turnout from the Brock Wrestling team.
Yeah, no, we all did really well. Like, I think there was only 3 weight classes on the girls' and guys' side together. We didn't have somebody in the semifinals, so across the board, we did amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of makes the same sort of rhythm that you guys have been promoting through U Sports. Through you guys just constantly are the epitome of excellence when it comes to wrestling. There's really isn't any other program like it.
Yeah, no, there definitely isn't. That's why a lot of people like myself come to Brock. It's just based on reputation. They absolutely kill the game.
So is there a recruiting process much better than other programs, or do they just have that reputation?
Well, we do recruit, but it's not like that's where we spend all our time. We invest our time in our athletes, and it shows. Like I, for example, I wasn't even directly recruited by Brock. I was considering going to the States before, but that was way too expensive.
As these states are.
Yeah, and then my old coach Sean Garris suggested going to Brock, so I just started working my way in there, and they took me on. And when this is why I say we put a lot of time and effort into like working on our athletes more so than recruiting, because when I showed up, I wasn't anything to
brag about.
I was getting by on guts and determination, basically. So
well, it looks like you're still getting by a bit on that based on the little scar on your face.
Yeah.
Tell us about what happened.
So I made it through the whole tournament trials over the weekend with no scratches, still looking pretty in the semifinal.
A loose term, pretty.
Yeah, no, it's still looking like a brute there too. But yeah, so I get into my finals match, and then first match of the 3 just headbutts me right away, splits my cheek open.
That's not legal.
No, you're not supposed to headbutt people or punch people or kick people. It's strictly like grabbing them and taking them down to the mat.
Right.
But headbutts do happen on accident.
Okay.
And there's only so much somebody can do to prove that it was on purpose.
Okay.
The ref did take some points away from him in the second match for headbutting, because he wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. He was just like smashing my face.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's tough to distinguish then as a referee whether something is intentional or not, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reffing on the whole is like pretty hard in general. A lot of difficult calls and stuff, and they're not always the right ones.
Yeah.
Makes things difficult for the athlete, because some of that stuff's really out of your control, right? So
is wrestling one of those sports that's been affected by instant replay, or is that something that's in play at all nowadays?
We used a lot of instant replay over the weekend, and to a lot of people's benefit, I think, as well. Yeah. And then to a lot of people's
demise as well.
Demise, yeah.
It's interesting. Instant replay is a unique one where for some sports it's been super beneficial, and for the most part it is beneficial typically across the board. But there's always times when, for instance, even if it's an offside play in hockey, man, those are milliseconds that, yes, the guy was offside, but I think that takes away part of the natural aspect of playing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's mostly a good thing, especially in wrestling, because it is incredibly difficult to tell certain things, like who initiated what movement, and so for example, if my back is exposed to the mat, and the ref calls it. But I didn't think my back was exposed to the mat, and I asked my coach to challenge it.
Yeah.
And then they replay the video, and sure enough, I'm like on top of the guy. My back doesn't hit the mat. Then that's 4 points that he would have scored against me.
Right.
That he doesn't score against me anymore.
Yeah.
Right. It might even be my points. So, I think it is important for wrestling for sure.
Does it slow down the match at all?
Yeah, that is one thing that's annoying as well, and it happened with my finals opponent. He's an older guy. He's like 33, so and he's been known to gas out.
Okay.
So every time there was a stoppage, I was like, damn, he's catching his breath.
Well, especially if you're wanting to you keep your momentum going, you wear your
exactly.
guy down. That's part of a strategy in any sport, especially in combat sport where, you're exuding yourself for a certain amount of time. You should be making sure that I don't know how I feel about that. It kind of frustrates me, I think.
Yeah, well, and replays are usually pretty quick. The refs get the idea of what's going on, but like injury time is one thing. If somebody's like, ow, I'm hurt, and then they go off to the corner and talk to the doctor for a little while, there's like no limit on that. So they can just sit there and bullshit their way into a quick breather sometimes. Yeah.
So you could say he poked at me or whatever, and they can take as much time as they want.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so does that brings up cauliflower ear, that injury.
Yeah.
How does it? You see so many wrestlers walking around.
Mm-hmm.
Painful, not painful? What's the process of getting it fixed?
So yes, painful. After it's hardened and stuff, it's just like a normal ear. You don't notice it anymore. But mine actually isn't that bad. Like it's just I had it fixed when I was younger.
Okay.
And what I did was I went to a doctor, and so let me explain how it works first. So the cartilage in your ear breaks, like the cartilage in your nose would break, and then your ear fills with fluid to repair the break.
Right.
But the fluid doesn't go away. It just stays there, and then it gets hard, and then you got a fugly looking ear. And then so the first time it happened to me, we kept draining it. There's like basically a bubble where all the fluid is, and we kept draining that bubble, and then it would just swell back up, fill with fluid again. So my mom took me to the hospital. She was like, hey, I want to like make it so that it doesn't keep filling up. Mm-hmm. So he went to like a surgeon, and he basically cut the ear open, let the fluid drain out, and then he sewed the incision shut, but he went right through my ear all the way through, like he was piercing my ear, and sewed the bubble that was inside shut. So like this one's still bad because I shoot on this side, so my head's always hitting somebody's hip on this side. Okay. But my left ear still like not as bad.
Right.
You can tell like a little bit just because it's like stiff.
Yeah.
It's
a way to get
nice.
A free piercing out of it all.
Yeah.
Positives, right?
I should have picked up some piercings to put in when he did that.
Yeah, not something you can use in competition, unfortunately. Could be a huge advantage. Save that for notes. So you deal with all of these different variables in a tournament like that lasts the weekend. It's over multiple days. So, for instance, if you've got a tough opponent on that first day, you're recovering and then having to still perform at the top level second day. How do you prepare for that?
So it's definitely difficult, but you have your game plan like days ahead, right? So you're thinking about, okay, and especially now we have to make weight day of.
Okay.
And that's difficult too because a lot of us are cutting weight. Personally, I was cutting a decent amount of weight. Like I had to, so like the past summer I had a goal of gaining weight because normally I'm floating right around my weight class. I'm pretty comfortable. Okay. I don't have to cut too much. And I was like, I could put on a little bit more muscle mass. So over the summer I was eating steak and eggs every morning and just like working out like a bastard and just stuffing my face until I couldn't eat anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't step on a scale all summer long. And then we went to Iowa, went down south to train for a little bit, and I stepped on the scale there. I was like, this thing's broken. There's no way. I was 97 kilos.
Woo!
So it's like
so pounds For those, what's that roughly? What, 220?
Like 215.
215. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like 215 pounds, and
at how tall? Sorry.
I'm like 5'10". Yeah, 5'10" and a half.
215, 5'10". That's a problem.
Well, yeah, no. If you looked at any body mass index, I'd be like obese. But I was.
So's Joe Rogan, man. The
Exactly.
BMI is probably the worst thing to look at as far as weight for
and
anyone.
that's the other thing too, is I was still pretty cut.
Yeah.
So like, and because I was working off all of the calories.
Yeah.
Right? I was just needed to ingest so much protein in order to build.
Yeah.
And so I was still really cut. And then I was just like thinking to myself, looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to get this weight off. Like, where is this weight going to come off of me?
Really?
So I had to start dieting down. I probably lost a little bit of muscle, but the end result was I was a lot stronger than any of my opponents.
So you do that over again?
Yeah. Like, I'm probably sitting at like 92 now, because since trials ended, I just, not even a refeed, man. I've just been mucking.
There you go.
Big Macs are on for $3 right now.
Oh, there you go. That's the deal.
Yeah, no, I'm on a bit of a binge right now, just because, I think I deserve it, I guess.
For sure. Man, you now have the ability to go to the Olympics, possibly. That's an incredible feat at how old?
24.
24. Yeah. Man. Yeah, Jordan and I aren't sitting in that boat. So, so back on to the Olympics now. Tokyo 2021. You're not qualified for that.
2020.
2020. Sorry,
yeah.
Canada Summer Games is what I'm getting mixed up. So 2020 Tokyo. The next way for you to actually qualify for that. Yeah, there you go. Testing out the distance. For you to qualify for that, you need to place top 2 in Pan Am Games that are in Ottawa. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I. Need to place top 2, and then that'll qualify my weight for the Olympics, because they can only take so many people, right?
Right.
Olympics is a big event as it is already, so
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. They used to take 20 for each weight class, and I think they're only doing 16 now. So basically, you got to qualify your weight. That makes sure that like not every single country is sending their person for every single weight. Right. Otherwise, the tournament would take
days,
weeks, man. It'd be so long. So it's just a way to weed out people that aren't as good.
And so you've got we're here at the end of or middle of December now, and those Pan Am Games are in March. When you talk about the fact that you really have 3 months to prepare for that, even after despite winning this. And then you throw in the fact that you're still competing varsity level U Sports. You've got, so how many competitions do you have between now and then?
I think I have to do one more varsity tournament to qualify for OUAs and U Sports. Okay. So I'll probably do Brock Open. That's like right at the beginning of January when everybody gets back. So like everybody come out, watch that. That's another thing. We don't get a lot of fans for wrestling.
Why is that? What makes wrestling a less attractive sport?
I think it's more about understanding. The rules have changed a lot over the years. Like since I started wrestling, it's almost completely different rules than what it used to be. It's fundamentally it's all the same. You're still doing the same moves. You're still getting points for doing the same things, but it's hard sport to follow if you don't know what's going on. Yeah. And even harder for people to commit to when everybody in Canada is just very, very hockey oriented. So it's just like, hockey's awesome, but like wrestling's fucking pretty cool too. So
it's interesting. It's weird how you've got just this nation that's dedicated to hockey, dabbling in basketball now. But it's people only have a certain amount of time in their day, so when they're trying to decide what they're gonna put their attention towards, wrestling is and I think a lot of it is due to for sure the fact that it's hard to understand. I remember going through when I was at Brock watching those tournaments. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Some guy got tapped, some guy went on his back, the other guy put up his hand, game over. And that's how it goes, right?
But and that's the thing too. Even though sometimes you don't know what's going on, you go there and it's like, whoa, what did that guy just do? Like you see somebody just toss somebody over their head.
The athletic performance and ability that you guys as wrestlers have is bar none. I talked with Hannah Taylor on our couple episodes ago, episode 10, 11, 10. Anyway, she's like, you guys just do some insane amount of workouts, whether it's, you guys are incorporating gymnastics, you're incorporating different forms of, take us through that. What is it like?
Yeah. Well, I don't do the gymnastics no more.
No?
I was.
Why not? You didn't want to fly through the air too much?
Yeah,
Big Macs?
Yeah, 200 pounds isn't supposed to move through the air like that, I don't think.
Okay.
I was, believe it or not, I was doing backflips and I was landing them, and I was like awesome. I was like, oh my God, I can do a backflip. And I was just repping them out the one day. Did one too many, landed on my neck, pulled all the muscles in the back of my neck. And and I've just been I'm traumatized since I haven't been able to do backflips since then. But what was it you were saying before about training regimens?
You guys just have so many. Yeah, it's a variety, right? It's not just you see guys in the gym, they'll bust out your bench press, your squats, and your deadlift, and they're done. But you guys are doing so much more.
Yeah, we work everything, because it's really wrestling incorporates everything you can possibly do. It's explosive. It's a lot of cardio. You have to be flexible. Mm-hmm. Speed, power. It really encompasses everything in sport.
Yeah, and it's that, as much as it's flexible, I think, was it Nathan on our episode 11, he talks about the mobility aspect as well, right? Yeah. When you sure, your arm can bend back X amount of distance, but can your arm bend back X amount of distance, and can you still be strong going back, right? Yeah. And that's the key for you guys. You guys are in some very awkward positions, and then getting out of those and putting people into those other awkward positions. It's mesmerizing, actually, to see some of the work. Any crazy stories?
Workout stories, or
from being in those awkward positions?
There was OUAs a few years ago, and I had just come back from a pretty bad injury.
Okay. We'll get to that injury.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And I was up against who was my rival at the time, Jacob Luzak from Lakehead. He was running me out of bounds, and I just pivoted on my one foot, and I did a move that I had no idea what it was, but I basically just threw him, I put him upside down. I wish I had the video somewhere to show you too.
Well, when we post it on YouTube, we'll find it. If you can send it over, and we'll put it on the YouTube video.
But yeah, it was just this crazy move, and the thing about it was that the clock had run out. Otherwise, I would have got 4 points. But that was probably one of the craziest, weirdest little trick moves I've had, and it was purely athletic thing.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of my stuff is purely athletic. So I'm not a great tactician. I've said it before. I have a really good front headlock, and I've been dabbling in some leg attacks lately. But
okay,
I'm really a power athlete when it comes to this sport.
So are you modeling yourself after other wrestlers, or are you taking your unique approach?
So I think I model myself after my coaches, because they're the ones teaching me everything.
Right.
Front headlock, like I mentioned before, is a big move at Brock. Marty Calder loves front headlock, and for good reason. It's an awesome move. You put somebody their head goes under you. You lock your hands up, and then you just throw them over your head.
Nice.
So it's you're breaking their neck pretty much.
Yeah.
And if you can do it right, where it's just super smooth, they don't feel a thing. They just go over your head, and it's 4 points for you. Or you can do it
So explain the points system for those who don't know.
So if you were to take somebody down, and they go from their feet straight to their back, that's 4 points. If you take somebody down and they go from their feet to their hands and knees, that's 2 points. And then if you have them on their hands and knees and you turn them to expose their back, that's 2 points. Push out's 1 point. and then there's various points you can get for somebody being passive or somebody doing negative wrestling or somebody headbutting you in the cheek. And
so there's a lot of ways for you to get points or to be deducted points then either way.
Yeah.
It's not clear cut as scoring a goal or getting scored
which
on.
is what we mentioned before. It makes it hard to understand.
For sure.
So
let's go back to that incident then that you were talking about, the injury.
Yeah.
I'll let you describe and share with the listeners what exactly happened.
Yeah, so I was stabbed. I'll just put it bluntly. It was in the chest. It was like maybe an inch deep, between my center chest and my shoulder, and it took about 5 internal stitches and 10 external stitches to sew it shut. It was by an old friend of mine who was recovering, like a recovering drug addict.
Okay.
And she had relapsed, didn't know what was going on, and ended up stabbing me even though I was protecting her from another nut job. So
wow. So you're a rose between two thorns then.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, really. And then so it was definitely a crazy night, and I had a lot of friends like with me, so it wasn't that bad. They took care of me. I didn't fall asleep or pass out or anything. I was awake the whole time. And
so inch deep, was it with a knife or?
Yeah, it was like a crazy looking ninja knife. I don't know. It was
nice.
Like it was hooked.
The kind of one you want to get stabbed with.
Yeah,
right?
the kind of one.
Couldn't have been a butter knife or anything easy, right?
No, it was not nice. It's not a pretty looking knife. But yeah. So I fell to the ground, holding my chest. My buddy came up behind me. I ruined his cardigan. It was blood everywhere. And so I was just laying there, and I was frantic, call the police, blah, blah, blah. And then I didn't get upset. I didn't cry or anything until I realized that I wasn't going to be able to wrestle next weekend. It was just like, oh my God.
That's
just like,
that's where the mind goes to. Hey,
I was just
not
like,
about am I going to be okay?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to wrestle next weekend. And I start tearing up a little bit. And, anyways, the ambulance took me away. We got me stitched up, and, the doctors told me it was going to be maybe 9 months recovery until I could actually
holy shit,
do anything with my my arm. So and I still get chest pains 2 years, a little over 2 years later. It's just like random stinging pains in my chest. So it makes it difficult to work out and train still.
Right. Did they say that'll go away, or is that something that they'll just?
Well, it's like nerve damage. The cut was really deep. It severed a lot of nerve endings and stuff. So it's been like growing back, and I think that's what causes the spasms. Is like every now and then a nerve grows a certain way, and then causes a jolt in my chest or whatever. When I'm dehydrated, that's the first thing to start cramping up is my chest.
Good motivation to stay hydrated then.
Yeah, really. Eat a lot of salt and electrolytes too. But yeah, so when it happened, the cut was so deep it almost the scar tissue is on my subclavian artery.
Okay.
So
I'll pretend like I know what that means.
Yeah. So basically, it's a big no spot. You don't want to get nicked there.
Yeah.
So every time I was going to the doctor, they're like, "Oh, you're really lucky."
I typically prefer to not have anything done to my body.
Yeah. So the doctors would be like, "You're really lucky." I'm like, "Yeah, well, still got stabbed. Not that lucky, buddy."
Yeah.
But they're like, "Yeah, you were like 10 push-ups away from being dead." So that kind of gave me a new lease on life too. After that happened, being so close to dying like that, I was just like, I gotta do something, I kind of rose to the occasion after that. They're like telling me it's gonna be 9 months, blah blah blah. My coach is like, "You gonna be able to wrestle?" I was like, I don't know, I really want to.
Yeah.
And I ended up wrestling.
And how long did that take?
So OUAs was 3 months after yeah, after after the stabbing. Yeah, but it was brutal. I had just started back practicing, and my chest was just killing me. After every single match, I would have aches and spasms, and just like to the point like I was just like laying on the ground just trying to not think about it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I powered through it, through OUAs. I won OUAs. Then I
winning OUAs 3 months after being near death on your friggin' holy shit.
Yeah. And then I went to U Sports and I won that too. It was my first U Sports win.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that was my first U Sports gold.
Why do it the easy way when you were healthy,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Screw that.
Yeah. the year before that I had gotten silver, and then the year before that it was my first year, so I'd gotten bronze. Wow. That year I had a broken collarbone in wrestling U Sports, so
So you like to get injured?
I don't like to. I just seem to be prone to it.
I know. So what do you do then, understanding the fact that you're in such a difficult sport to stay healthy, and what do you do to remove the possibility of injury? Are you using the sauna? Are you recovering? Are you taking vitamins? What are some recovery suggestions?
I stretch and do sauna. Ice bath's a big one. I think is like super underrated. Ice bath and Normatec and
that the leg compressions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that stuff's great, but at the end of the day, you're gonna be injured. I'm constantly injured. I can't bend one of my fingers right now. I haven't been able to since September.
Yeah, you don't need those, right?
And the one thing that I learned from the stabbing was it's gonna hurt, but if you're gonna go out there and do it, you've got to do it. Forget about it. Just wrestle. Like you got to just put it out of your mind. Do what your body can do. Like demand your body to do something, and it'll do it.
Man, it's a little bit of motivation there. It fires me up. Like I gotta go to the gym now. So you've got a couple more competitions before Pan Am Games in Ottawa in March. What is your mindset going into that? You don't want to get too far ahead of the game, but how does it feel to have the possibility to represent your country?
It feels amazing. Like honestly, I've never made a Canada team before, so I'm just winning trials and being on Team Canada.
It's an amazing accomplishment.
That alone is amazing. But obviously, I want to take it to the next level. Mm-hmm. I want to go to the Olympics in Tokyo. It was Japan, man. I always wanted to go to Japan my whole life. I love Dragon Ball Z. I love it. I love anime, man. Like that stuff fires me up. So, I really, really want to go to that. So I've been watching my opponents online, studying up on David Taylor, the United States guy, and I'm not sure who the Cuban is going to be, but those are going to be my two big opponents here at Pan Am's. So I think it's Torre Blanca is his name, but and he was actually in Canada recently. I watched him wrestle too, so and I think I can beat them.
Yeah.
Definitely not out of the realm of possibilities, but I would rather end up with a good draw where those two are on one side of the bracket and I'm on the other side, and then I can meet them in the finals. I still want to beat them. Yeah. But I'd rather do
the easiest route. Then.
Do the easy way. Yeah. Since I've been doing everything else the hard way, it seems.
Yeah, you deserve at least one break, right? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll put it out into the atmosphere. Hopefully it just takes it in.
But yeah, so tournaments leading up to Pan Am's are just, it's just practice.
How does the U sport or, the university level compare to Olympic trials?
It depends on the year, honestly. There's so many great wrestlers at the varsity level, and like within, like the guy I wrestled in finals, he was at the varsity level, I don't know, like 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
And yeah, so that just goes to show you that we have pretty good guys everywhere in Canada. Like, we're all pretty evenly matched, so you see a lot of the same faces in the finals all the time. And I've seen that especially at my weight class, is like every year somebody else is on the top of the podium, right? So, and that's encouraging to me too, because I'm like, that, why can't it be me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah. Do you, and you mentioned previously about putting on a bit of weight, do you ever consider changing weight classes? Is that something that happens in wrestling? I asked Hannah the same question.
Yeah. When I came to Brock, I was 78 kilos.
Whew.
And I've been
the glow up.
Yeah. And for the varsity weights, which is 90 kilos, my Olympic weight is 86.
Okay.
I've been wrestling 90 kilos since I started, and I was 78 kilos when I started.
Wow.
So
you were severely under your weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
I've been gaining weight since I got to Brock. Like, it took me a long time to get to 97. So I wasn't super upset when I seen it on the scale. I was like, okay, now I just need to figure out how to get back down. Because 97 as a weight class for me too is like, I'm, like you said, I'm already pretty stocky. So those guys have a significant reach advantage of me, and it kind of factors out my stocky advantage, which is being able to defend leg attacks a little easier because they're so long. Like, they can just grab my legs, whatever.
Right.
So I think I'm at the right weight class. If I was going to change weight classes, I'd rather go down than up just because of the height difference. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty comfortable where I am.
Yeah, I'm always thinking just from a competitive perspective. Not that I've ever been even close to the same body fat percentage or what it would necessary to be a wrestler, but I'm always like, oh, if I just dropped an extra 10 pounds, I could crush those 5'5" kids.
It's harder than you think. Those stocky guys, and the guy that I wrestled, same weight as me, he was shorter than me.
Wow.
Yeah, he was, but he was a tank, man. He was an absolute freak. Just muscles sticking out of everywhere. So and those guys, they're so low to the ground, and they stop you with their head, and like when you're trying to grab their legs to take them down. So it's every body type has its advantages and disadvantages. It's just recognizing them and using them to play the game, right? And
that's what you'll be doing then for the next couple of months, is figuring out what those opponents' disadvantages are, and then capitalizing on them.
Yeah, I think I hate to beat a horse to death about the front headlock, but and any of my wrestling teammates that know me are probably laughing, because that's we joke when I do a leg attack. They're like, "Oh, he front headlocked the legs," because all I do is front headlock, and it's like my signature move. Yeah. But to talk about my opponents, I think I can front headlock all of them. Yeah. I really do. I don't want to. I want to be able to do other moves, but if I get them in that position,
don't fix what's not broken,
right?
Man.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that they dive so far deep into their athletic, what can I do to be better? Mm-hmm. How can I beat these guys in different ways? Yeah. Trying to replicate what other people are doing, or on the international stage, what they see on TV. And it's, if you have a skill that you can perfect, and you know exactly how your body's going to react and how the other person will, stick to it, right? Yeah. Like there's no sense in fixing something when you know it's going to work for you. Yeah, exactly. Dance with the girl who brought you, right? There you go. I think that might be the title of this episode. So so that's what I've been doing for a lot of years. But we'll see how it works out. I do want to exploit weaknesses of my international opponents and stuff, and that's why I've been watching a lot more lately. But and what was I gonna say about the weekend? Like we were just saying, I wasn't wrestling the way I normally wrestle in the finals. Okay. I got a little, like, I was trying to wrestle him, and I wasn't trying to wrestle the way I do in the first round of the first match. Right. And I wasn't winning, and then I just kind of
shut my brain off a little bit and just focused on the things I know to do
Mm-hmm.
well, and I did them, and then I ended up winning the first match. Second match, I lost focus. He headbutt the shit out of me, and then I lost that one. And then the third match, I refocused, came back in, and teched him again. So
Yeah, it's that sort of separating the athletic mindset compared to the fan mindset is interesting. There was a article I read on In Goal magazine. It's actually, there's the hat right there. Talks about, you can, as an athlete, you can get so caught up in the game and what's happening that you forget about what you're actually doing,
Mm-hmm.
and you get so caught up on trying to do the best move or
Mm-hmm.
finish the guy, to create the show, right? Because ultimately, sport is a competitive game, but there's the entertainment aspect, right? And so it's, making sure that at the end of the day, you're staying in that athletic mindset is what's key, right? And
Mm-hmm.
obviously you found that out in the third round.
yeah. I think like that's the line you walk, right? That's like being in the zone versus not being in the zone.
Yeah.
And I was getting brutish in the second round. I was getting mad. I was like, he keeps headbutting me. Nobody's saying anything. What the hell's going on? I scored 2 points on him because he headbutted me.
Wow.
And I was just getting like beat. Like the ref was like, you're headbutting him. Blew a point.
Right.
So I was getting points for him being a jerk. But
Yeah.
and I was focused so much on that and so much on the fact that he was headbutting me, and the ref was making shitty calls, just the things that I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
And that took me out of the match. I lost the match as soon as I started like thinking about those things I couldn't control, and then went back behind into the warm-up room. My team members rallied around me. They're like, Clayton, don't worry about that shit, man. Like, that's not what you need to worry about. Just do what you can do. Make it so that the headbutts aren't going to be a problem. Make it so that the ref has no choice. Make it so clear that you're winning that the
Mm-hmm.
ref can't like muck it up for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I came back, got wrenched him a bunch of times, got my tech and celebrated.
Yeah. There it is. C'est la vie. So, and it brings up a good point in that it's having that support network of your team around you
Yeah.
to calm you down, get
Yeah.
you into that right mindset. Despite it being an individual sport,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably one that requires the most support from your network and team around you.
Yeah. 100%. And that's another amazing part about like being at Brock is just the team members I have around me. Like even I forgot to even mention, like when I got stabbed, my team rallied around me. They brought me back, like it would have been so easy for me to just give up wrestling after that. And like I almost did. I was like, just it was hard not to give it up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But when you have your teammates rallying around you and just like lifting you up and telling you it's going to be okay, and like asking when you're going to come back to practice, and you just feel like, yeah, no, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back on those mats. And like I've always, I don't know if it's guilt or if it's pride or what it is, but I feel obligated that I need to show up to U Sports every year since I got to Brock and make sure that I'm putting points on the board for our team. It was like when I broke my collarbone, I broke it at OUA's winning gold. And then I was like, well, I can't just not go to U Sports. I need to go to U Sports. So I
one arm hanging there.
Yeah. There's some good pictures of that around too, floating around, refs like raising my hand. And
So you legitimately were competing with a broken collarbone.
Yeah. It was 2 weeks of recovery time, but it was still, fractured, right? So
wow.
Yeah.
Man, it puts things into perspective when you've got guys who are on load management in the NBA for their knees.
Yeah.
No need to name. Everyone knows who that guy is. But it just shows the kind of competitive nature that's in a sport that requires it, and when you're working towards getting to that top level, you got to put in the work, put in the time, and whether you're hurt, sore, or otherwise, you got to grind through it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, getting back to the team, like especially Marty Calder, I owe him a lot. He was like super prominent in getting me back on the mats, and he was like kind of the one that, you know, he didn't treat me like a victim either. You know what I mean? He was like, as soon as I got back on the mats, I was on the mats, same as everybody else. Yeah,
equal playing field.
I wasn't going, if I was going to be there and whine about my chest, it doesn't matter, man. Like if you're out here wrestling, you're out here wrestling.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. That's what you came here to do.
He's a stone cold killer, man.
Yeah.
I'll nod my head through the halls, and that's about all I get. I'm like, I'm not messing with you.
Yeah. He's not as mean as people think. Outside of the wrestling room, he's a great guy. He's awesome to talk to. And he's everybody's best friend outside of the room for sure. But yeah, so him, Prickett was another one, our assistant coach. He does MMA as well. He's got Niagara Top Team, which is, I think it's not too far from here, actually. It's like on the other side of the Penn Center or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the street or whatever, but
yeah,
he's turned out a lot of really good MMA fighters. But I stayed with him last year. I was couch surfing last year. Because I needed to save money because I wasn't working, because to do wrestling plus working plus school.
Yeah, no.
I like my chest was getting hurt. Like I was like, Jesus. It was seizing up. Like it still seizes up. It's not as bad anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's
the student athlete grind.
Yeah.
Especially when you're that, well, man, I didn't even know that. That's impressive for you to just keep grinding, and you know, through that adversity. It's that's not something many people would go through. So kudos to you for doing that.
No, I definitely take pride in that for sure. But it's again, it's the team. They keep me fighting, right? So and I love all those guys, and they're really good to have in your corner. And it was awesome being in Niagara and having all of our fans around too.
Yeah.
And that show, like that venue, mm-hmm. You said you watched highlights and stuff. But like being there, like I've never been to a tournament that was that cool. They had the screens up. They had the instant replays up for everybody to see.
It was a unique setup.
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And like for like the varsity, the other varsity teams like basketball, hockey, they're probably used to like the big light shows and that sort of thing. And like coming into like walkout music, we had walkout music. I was like, this is awesome. I felt like I felt like I was in the UFC, man. It was so cool. And there's photographers there, got a bunch of awesome pictures of me, and like I posted a bunch on my Instagram, but that's not even half of them. Like this guy, he was getting all the angles, dude.
Where can people find you on Instagram? Let's show you out there.
It's just Clay Pye, ClayPye.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it was a phenomenal experience, and having my team there, having all of our fans there, it was just so incredible.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think that's just like the perfect way to end it on, talking about the team. I can't thank you enough for coming on. Really appreciate you sharing your story, and just an incredible one at that. And
yeah, thank you.
Kudos to you for keeping going, and I have no doubt that you will continue to keep going, whatever life throws at you.
Yeah.
I don't wish anything else upon you like that, but I'm sure you'll just keep battling. So good luck on your way through U Sports in March at Pan Am's, and hopefully you get to play some Dragon Ball Z in Tokyo.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
Take care, podcast listeners.